Hey. This is Individual Perspective Podcast. I am your host, Daris D. McKinney, and I got triggered. I'm doing this quick episode because, hopefully it's quick. I shouldn't be long at all. Because I got triggered. My mom had a posting of some comedian that named Ty Burnett. I don't know who he is, but obviously he's known. And when I went to go to his TikTok to just find this clip that she had on her Facebook, because I had to do this literally in the last 20-30 minutes or so. And I'm looking at all his postings. So obviously he's known and he's got a following in the hundreds of thousands. His impressions probably be in the millions and everything. But just like I titled this episode, why does the ignorant amongst us drive our culture? Because it's crazy. And the reason why they drive our culture is because most Black people and Black Americans, and even Americans generally, they're hard workers. They're kind of fighting for their life to kind of pay their bills, keep a stability going, and trying to find some kind of enjoyment or peace out of life. So you got to work real hard. You don't get the chance to go into you got to watch CNN, you got to watch MSNBC, you got to watch Fox News, you got to watch different podcasts. You have to look at the Washington Post, the New York Times, the Washington Examiner, the Wall Street Journal, and all these different things in order to find out what the truth is. Because what I come to find out, and one thing, and I'll include Trump in this, because I got to be honest, and individual perspective is about objectivity. One of the worst things is to be extremely objective. Is at your detriment if you're an objective person, if you deal in absolute objectivity. That can hurt you in the long run, and it's good. And it's brutal to me and to my life, is because I do look at the bigger picture, look at the actual full spectrum of all the chess moves on the pieces on the chessboard, all the chess pieces on the chessboard, and I make the actual decision that needs to be made 10 years from now. I'll make that decision right then and there. And be able to do that on reflex, you have to train yourself how to be impulsively objective. And that's a hard thing. And I come on because I get triggered a lot by people and their point of views and their intellect and everything, and perceptions of them having an intellect, but they really don't have an intellect that should be communicating to other people. You know what I mean? So so sometimes I get triggered, and most of the time I never would communicate about this stuff. I won't say anything. You got to look for my podcast, even though my podcast, because I don't post it with my friends or family or community or anything like that, because it's extremely driven by objectivity. So everybody I know, I'm going to insult them because I'm not doing what's best for my best interest or my community's best interest, or the perception of what should be conceived or what's community wise smart. I'm kind of almost just putting it on the record what the truth is, no matter what direction or what comes out my mouth. And trust me, in the last few episodes that I did, I always think, should I even keep it live? Because it's brutal. Brutal objectivity, especially in this election race and stuff like that, is, especially if you're voting for Trump or you're voting for Kamala, this election is not about like trying to find a middle ground, because the circumstances that your loved ones and even the people that you care about, or even just the people that you're trying to have peace with, they kind of injected a vicious perception and like they're tagging the other side with historical perception and perspective that's not factually true, that has no objectivity analysis on it. And you got to take yourself out the equation in order to interact with it. I had even a conversation with my father, like maybe 6 years ago or something. It was a while. It was like maybe 8 years ago, tell you the honest God truth. Because it was around the election time of Trump the first time. And in the conversation we were having, he was kind of communicating like that you can't take yourself out the equation. You have to always put yourself in the equation and everything like that. And I said, and I agree with him if your life has a more everyday function, meaning that you're kind of just, you're just living your life and you're kind of doing things that is for your best interests, and you're kind of isolated to what the outcome is. But for me, I'm a filmmaker, so my perception of what I'm doing and my productivity and what the value of my content is not, I can't look at it from just what's good enough for me or what's the perception of it for me. I have to kind of follow a actual process of elimination, a quality control of what the audience is saying, broad spectrum wise, of what the value of your content should be, or the standard of what it should be, or how it will be perceived by a vast amount of demographics, age groups, or whatever. You know what I mean? So it forces me, when I write a story, when I write a screenplay, when I kind of present something in this presentation, that it's collectively more common-sensely funny, enjoyable, suspenseful, and you can't assume what you think is funny, other people are gonna think is funny. What you think is entertaining, other people's gonna think it's entertaining. What you think is suspenseful, other people are gonna think it's suspenseful. It doesn't work like that. You have to have a structure. I always tell people, Hollywood don't make all these movies in a vacuum where they hoping the outcome is what they think it's gonna be. It's an outcome that's actually guaranteed. It's the rudimetrics for actually outcome. So Hollywood goes above the outcome a lot of the times, but for independent filmmakers, all we got to do is stay to what's the most likely gonna happen with any content we put on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Rumble, Tubi, Amazon Prime. It's an actual rule that's gonna be the most likely outcome. And I always say, stick to the budget, stick to the structure of what you're doing in that paradigm of what's the most likely outcome. That way, two things go good for you. You don't outspend yourself, that you could take total control of everything. Otherwise, second one will be that you can make sure that the outcome of completion and the goal getting accomplished, that you captured what you needed to capture, and then you're isolated in an editing room and by yourself, that you pretty much got the outcome. The reason why I say that is because the ignorance amongst us drive our culture, and that's sad. And it's been that way for 30, 40 years. And we have people coming on touting their point of view, and it's not fully vetted, and it's psychological manipulation, and it's kind of gaslighting in a way also. And if it's too fast, like a comedian, they're good at communication because they stand on stage, they always communicating, they always talking, and even knowing how to react to what's going on in the crowd or what they see in the crowd, and golf that into a whole kind of script that they already got in their head about their performance or what they set is, and they comedy act will be. But they freestyle too, where they can just go and just bring up stuff that pop up in the audience or something that might come to their head and they feel like this might be a cool space to be a little bit more improvisation to, they do that. So the reason why I'm saying this is because on my mother's Facebook page, because she's a Kamala supporter, she had a comedian that was talking a lot of stuff, and I don't believe half of the stuff that he said on this posting, but I kind of felt that I'm just going to come on, I'm going to play it, and then I'm going to just kind of walk through the misdirection and the psychological warfare of how he communicates. And this is pretty much trained thought process that he might sit here and you could probably put him on a lie detector test and he might think that his thought process is his own, but these are key phrases and key words and psychological things that were put on CBS, ABC, NBC, MSNBC, CNN, hip hoppers, movie stars, your heroes, your politicians, your favorite politicians. They're under a script to manipulate us because the elite and the powerful people, they use our ignorance against us. And it so happened to be that black people, it's pretty easy to use our ignorance against us. Okay. So let me play this and then I'll stop rambling and get some context to why I'm talking about this. Okay. So let's get started.
Yo, what's up, everybody? Sorry for the tired, raggedy look. I wasn't even gonna make a video today. Today was gonna be a chill day. I just went to get my car washed. That's it. I'm at the car wash waiting to pay for my car wash. A lady sees me wearing my Kamala Harris for the People shirt and says, "Why are you gonna vote for her?" And I said, "Are you sure you want to ask me that?" Because
and this is more, like I said, I don't believe anything that he's saying. You know what I'm saying? Because he's kind of,
sorry for the tired,
bloviating and this, ain't nobody. Ain't nobody like, especially Trump supporters, unless it's a black supporter. And if people walking up and they Trump supporters and they black, and hopefully they know the crappy stuff that he just communicated is not realistically what the situation is. Maybe I should just play this and then, but I'm trying my best to just stop him and then kind of talk about it and then keep it in context. Okay, so he's wearing his Kamala shirt. Most Trump supporters can't even walk around with the Trump hat because even if they support Trump, and that's if they ignorant or they kind of misguided, people will actually come up to them and physically invade their space. So when you invade a person's space, you got two situations there. Now you have to be impulsively ready to go physical. And you have to calculate when to be physical. And it's not about letting a person hit you and then you hit them back. Sometimes a person get an upper hand on you if they stun you. So when you walk around with a Trump hat, I don't do it because of, I just don't like mess around in an environment where I don't want to I don't want to have to watch for somebody randomly walking up to me, trying to superimpose their will on me, because that's a life or death situation. Even if you're trying to fight or do something that's temporarily, I want forever. So I don't put myself in that environment because it's not, I'm not just saying this, I'm impulsively like that. I go to 0-60 quick. So I don't so I watch the environments or the people that I'm around, so I never have to go 0-60. So trollers like this, I'm assuming he's interacting with people about Kamala and Trump. Look, I know that's my perception and my speculation because I have to go by what he's saying on this clip. And okay, I'll do that. Okay, I'll do that. So let's let him talk. And I think I have to try to stop them at certain times when I need to make a point.
Yo, what's up, everybody? Sorry for the tired, raggedy look. I wasn't even gonna make a video today. Today was gonna be a chill day. I just went to get my car washed. That's it. I'm at the car wash waiting to pay for my car wash. A lady sees me wearing my Kamala Harris for the People shirt and says, "Why are you gonna vote for her?" And I said, "Are you sure you want to ask me that? Because I mean, I can tell you. I don't mind telling you. I just want to make sure you want to have this conversation." She says,
like, let's assume what he's talking about is true, which I doubt it. Okay. If somebody comes up to you and they ask you why you want to do, are you sure you want to tell you? Like, hey, dude, we can't get any of y'all to say why y'all vote for Kamala except her being a woman and a black woman. Okay. So if obviously this person, they not even thinking about race when they ask you this question, they're thinking about the candidate. Why are you voting for her? And do you really want to wonder that? Yes. Why?
Yeah, because I'm undecided. That's what she said. So I go in.
Because she's undecided. So that's what she said. Even if she's lying, she put something out there in order to answer the question that he asked. Oh, I know why, but do you really want me to? You really want to do this? You really want to talk about this? Yes, I'm undecided. I'm on the crust. Tell me.
Details. I talk about policies. I talk about all these different things, and
he can't even say it on here. You know what? When you guys post stuff about Kamala and her policies, why don't y'all ever just say what it is and just leave it? You gotta do no crazy stuff. Say, hey, for women's autonomy over their body, their abortion rights, or the reproductive rights, because they don't want to use abortion anymore. So reproductive rights. I like that she's going to give entrepreneurs $25,000 to start up their company. In addition to that, she's going to put government money to build 3 million homes, to give 3 million people an opportunity to have their first home purchasing, have the way to purchase their own first home. She's going to keep Ukraine going. And it's a lot. You could go to her and talk about, why did y'all just say that stuff real quick and then just go back to your talking point when you post this stuff and you're trying to drive a narrative?
Keeps having this look on her face like she didn't believe what I was saying. I said, so why would you support the other person? She says, well, things were just better. And I was like, tell me how. And she couldn't tell me how. She said, well, they just were. I said, ma'am, tell me what things he did. And she couldn't. I said, I got to be honest with you. If you're going to go cast a vote for somebody and you can't tell me what they did for you, that should be concerning to you. But
okay. Now, he's a comedian. His job is to sit on his ass in his house, go on tours around the country and talk shit. That's his job. People would love to have that job. He got to source material. That means he goes on he watches the news, he watches social media, and this gives him material. Certain different things that he going on in the everyday, just going to the barbershop to talk stuff, to going to the gas station to talk junk. This is material for him. That's how he lives his life. This lady works hard. The guys, people you randomly walk up to and want to talk politics to, they don't know why detailedly or remember why they actually like something that they seen on the news 2 years ago that made them favor voting for Trump or whatever. But at the same time, they know gut instinctively, this is where I'm leaning to because it's the best for me. You get what I'm saying? Everything was better in his term. Why is that? Why is everything? Because that's what her response to him was. Everything is better. What's better under him? Why? I say we living right now in every man for themselves culture right now. That's what Kamala and Biden did and how they administrated their actual administration. Literally, it's every man for themselves culture we have right now. Why is it like that? Obama says, Trump had my economy. He had my economy. I gave him that economy. It was good for the first 2 years because it was my economy. That's Obama's perception of Trump's economy. But you have to know what he did to regulations in order to understand how that affected money moving around. Why was people in 2018, 2019 moving, like exchanging money, doing business with each other, doing actual investments, and like taking a chance on somebody, on a little guy? Hey, that's a good idea you got there. That's a good thing you're doing there. Let me put a little nickels and dimes. I got this amount of money every year that I put into investments, or I can actually trick off. Well, I'm gonna give you some investment because you're trying to do something here. A lot of that was going on with billionaires and millionaires. It was flying like that. Why? Because regulations on taxes and regulation on what it took to get a real estate approval for a brand new house that you wanted to build. All that regulations got pulled off. Oil drilling was insane on Trump. That's why the structures that Biden and Kamala thought that was horrible, so they shut down a lot of pipelines, they shut down a lot of drills, they minimized a lot of that stuff, they stopped a lot of the stuff that Trump was doing for fracking and drilling and all that stuff. They stopped a lot of that because they felt it was out of control and it was going against the green energy situation. But they didn't know the catastrophic outcome of them stopping all that drilling was that Trump was making all these people drill and frack and all that stuff, and he was shipping that stuff to Europe. He was shipping that stuff to Asia to stop Russia from being a actual export of power, to stop Saudi Arabia for being the export of power. And he was actually going in competitiveness against Russia and Saudi Arabia, and he was making America, he was saying to a lot of Europeans, we gonna be the people that give you your oil, we're gonna be the people that give you your coal, we're gonna give you your energy, we're gonna give you your source of electricity and everything. We're gonna do that because we got plenty of it over here. We're gonna export. So Trump started to export and made our oil companies and our fracking companies drill and do all kind of stuff to get productivity going. Biden came in, he had to sign in order to stop it, because it would have been illegal, and under no companies would have had to actually follow his guidance. He had to sign executive orders to stop them from drilling. So for 2 years, they stopped. It was bad. The inflation, because you stopped energy from being produced, it got so bad where we couldn't even export to Asia. We couldn't even export to Europeans, and then we start to eat up our reserves. So once it did that so much, it made oil go from 150, 190 or something like that up to about $4 or $5. So that did that for about a whole year and a half. So they had, at the end of 2023, they had to put back in the stuff that Trump was drilling and say, oh no, cut that back on, cut those back on, y'all, we gonna prove y'all. But you made them come out of 2 years of the stuff that they would have been already, we would have been liquid. It's tariffs that Trump signed into our law against China, because they always dumping their content, their product into our country. He put tariffs on China already, and it brought $200 to $300 billion a year into the treasury. You get what I'm saying? So this is the kind of stuff that Trump did, just being very combative. And then Biden came in. He written all that stuff off because that was their policies. Kamala and him, they were for Green New Deal. They were for stopping the aggression on them. You know, when Biden came into office, we got a 2,000-mile border in our southern border. That's how long our border is. 2,000 miles. Trump threatened and told Mexico, I would make y'all a third world country and you broke as hell if you don't stop those people from coming into your country and trying to come into our border. They said, oh, whatever, we're not gonna do nothing that you want us to do. He said, well, okay, I'm gonna put a tariff on every single thing that you try to bring over. Why was that a value, a extreme high value for Mexico? Because we don't know how much Mexico is building Ford cars, GMs, Chrysler cars. We don't know. We have no idea. They actually put plants over in China. They're making cars over there. They decided to have one of the most high functioning, state-of-the-art factory building companies build a big, China did this, a big facility to make cars twice as fast with the new improved robotics and everything. They were actually building that actual plant there to take the businesses from South Carolina, because that's where a lot of our automotive industry is, and in Michigan. But this plant was going to actually have it where multiple companies, it was like, look up Foxconn in China, Foxconn. That's the most productivity of electronics in the world. They were doing that to car manufacturing in Mexico. Then they were going to take all our jobs in America for building cars and assembling and everything like that. And they were going to assemble it all in Mexico, because that's all we do. We assemble. We don't make any parts. We don't do any of that stuff. China and India and Taiwan and Ireland, they do all the actual creating and manufacturing. We assemble. They were going to take our assembly away from us and put it in Mexico and just ship Ford and Chrysler cars and GM cars into America. That's what was up. Now, this is Trump. He's out of office. And he's threatening the General Motor companies that, hey, I'm going to win. And when I win, I'm going to put a tariff on every single Ford, every single Chrysler, every single GM car you try to bring into this country. If you want to do that, keep the companies into this country, and I'll give you a tax incentive on your actual making of your companies and to build the factory. I'll make sure that you don't have to pay taxes for a certain amount, and that you can make sure that every car you good, because you're making that manufacturing here and you're keeping the jobs here. Just by him being a candidate talking this crazy stuff, they halted the actual building of that plant. That's true stuff. Go look it up. Okay? I'm just giving you examples of what he did when he was in office and what he did when he wasn't in office and how combative he was. But trust me, go back and look at a conversation that he had. I could play it, but I don't got time. Conversation that he had with Oprah Winfrey in the 1980, like literally the year 1980. And the same stuff he talking about now, he was saying it back then. You guys don't have information. Why? Because people like this, they use your ignorance against you. They know. Ain't no way y'all know what's going on. Ain't no way. Okay? So I'm here to just... Objectivity is so needed. So needed. But yeah, everybody don't care. You guys living your life and y'all having to come up, how y'all coming up and everything. But I'm just saying, we don't have a better culture. We don't have a better existence, and our country is going to be destroyed if you guys don't understand the context of this election and who you're judging for. You guys want to criticize Trump that no sexual assault or rapes or any weird stuff like that ever came up about Trump until he ran for election. He takes pictures with people. These people see him become president, and then they decide that they don't like him. They don't like the Republicans. And because he's a Republican, you're just as racist. You're just as horrible as they are. And it's like, okay, what's the context here, y'all? What's the context that he's a racist? Oh, he didn't want to give housing to black people. No. Him and his father built apartment complexes. They set Trump set an actual requirement to rent an actual apartment complex of that you need to make 3 times the amount of the rent as your salary in order to get approved. New York, as this is after the fact. New York put into the law, in New York law, that you have to keep your apartment complex open for housing and low income housing and stuff like that. But Trump and them, they already set a requirement. If our apartment complex is $1,200, you need to make $3,600 to even mess around in here. That way we ain't got to fight you for our rent. So his theory was, hey, at least if you're making $3,600, and I'm using $1,200 for example, but if you're making $3,600, at least a third of that can go to your bills and your personal life, and what upkeeps your living arrangement, and then another third can go to you triggering it off and you just taking risk and going on trips or going out to dinner or going to the movies or whatever you're doing. But it's nothing will stop you from taking care of your rent and the roof over your head, that you won't go multiple months behind, and then our company is put in strenuous situation because we have to compensate until you pay your rent. So that's the theory of it. But New York decided, hell no. You get what I'm saying? Most of the time, low income people are going to be Black Americans, especially in the 80s. This was in the 70s. This is like 1979 that this situation happened. So in that situation, the lawsuit was brought on against him and his father, and the company against New York brought the case against them. They fought that through him. He settled to say, hey, we'll put our housing approval into the low income regulations factors, and that's how it moved forward. They wasn't guilty. They didn't have to get fined, or they maybe was fined. I gotta go look that up. But there was no guilty plea of criminal activity. It was just that the regulation that they had in order to approve people went against low income housing. It so happened to be that Black people are in low income situations at that time, so well as Hispanics too. But at the same time, that lawsuit made them have to actually apply at that time, it was the new New York regulation standards for low income approval and apartment complex housing and stuff like that. That's the situation. For everybody want to call him racist because the housing situation. Own a company, you'll get it, okay? But let's fast forward. They won that battle. New York won that battle. He had to adjust and allow anybody that could pay that first rent and that last month deposit. You have to approve them. If they can give you that money, if they can set that up, if they got a job that's making enough money to actually somehow pay for their rent every month, you got to approve them. I don't think it's a bad thing. That was a good ruling. That was a good situation because it helped other companies and developers not take away from the people that really will pay their rent as best they possibly can, and that they wouldn't want to be a burden on the apartment complex, and you kind of judge them to an economic situation that they have, but in their own way, they understand the perspective and the principle of paying the rent. So I'm just saying that just to put it into context. The Central Park Fives, I don't want to get on that. That'll take me forever to talk about this stuff. The detective that was on that case is Black. The guy that actually arrested some of the guys was Black. The guy that was questioning these people was Black. And in the scheme of him questioning these people, going into 5 different rooms questioning these guys, one of the guys, when he walked into the room, start talking about the lady. Start just talking about the lady. This is what the Black detective and the Black police officer said. You can look up this video. This is in his own words. He to this day believed that they had something to do with it. Okay? I'm not saying they did. I'm just saying context is everything. Objectivity is everything. You have to know the real situation there. So he walks into the room with one of the kids to interrogate him to like them. Because all they was doing was arresting the boys for vandalizing and being destructive and being degenerates and doing all kind of beating up on people and stuff like that. That's all they were arresting them for. They didn't know about some girl, this woman that got raped and all that other stuff. They didn't know nothing about that. In the interrogation room, the person the boy starts to talk to them about the girl. Like, it wasn't him, it's blah, 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 blah. It wasn't his fault and stuff like that because they was around that situation. So in the midst of that, they actually went back to the park, found the lady in the actual ditch bleeding out. She was still in the park when they brought her to the station. They went to the park, they scoured the area, they found her, they put her in the actual to take her to the hospital, and then the interrogation really started on the 5 boys. At the time, they were about to let the boys go because there was dumb, hot-haired, wild, young, delinquent kids doing stupid stuff and vandalizing and doing kind of crazy stuff in the park, but they were going to let the guys go. They had the parents there and everything until the boy, he walked in the room and the black officer was questioning the guy, and he starts to divulge the interaction with this woman. And that's how they found her, got her to the hospital. That's where the case really began. I got videos, I got audio recordings, I got actual evidence, like police, like their actual, when they writing what's been communicated in the interrogation, all that stuff. And I got the guys, the detectives, the police officers' account of the situation. This is all factual evidence out there that you guys can listen to. Trump writes an article about all the crime that's going on in the 1980s. If you go look at New York in the 1980s and see the violent, wild stuff that was going on in New York on a day-to-day basis, his conversation was about all the different crimes that was going on in New York, and that if everybody just doing all this wild stuff and trying to kill people and hurting people and robbing people and doing all this other stuff, put the death penalty, that if they do any violence in New York and stuff, he was extreme about giving the death penalty to all random crimes and stuff, but he was talking about a generalization of the crime that was in New York. I have the article. I even read it and put it in the video clip so people don't have to read it. And I put it on, and I'll do that on another episode. It just takes too much time. This episode could be 2 hours long if I start going into the details and stuff. Okay? I'm already soaking up 40 minutes. Okay? So that's the context of the Central Park Fives. It's not in a vacuum. It's not the outcome. My thing is, how do y'all do a documentary on Netflix? And if you're really, these guys, if a guy admitted that he raped the lady, or he did something to the lady, because you're not supposed to use some harsh rhetoric on Facebook, and now I got to figure out how I'm going to post this to my mother and still, still kind of like, not get flagged by Facebook. But anyway, so if you're going to do a documentary on Netflix and you're going to give the truth of the situation, because the guys are innocent, and they no matter what, no matter what you do with this documentary, you can't change they're innocent. You can't change that they was rightfully freed, and they was rightfully they was right. It was right for the city to pay them out for what the years that they lost of their life, and the criminalization and the tagging their name and everything with this crime and stuff. They had to pay him the $41 million out. It was nothing that's going to take that away. It was nothing going to take their exoneration away. Nothing. So when this documentary has been done, why not go investigate the detectives, the police officers, and the prosecutor that put them into jail? If they messed up so bad, if they were so ridiculous in what they were doing and how they prosecute people, why would you not want to put them on the record to how ignorant and what kind of thought process they was under, that they wrongfully prosecuted 5 young boys and sent them to jail until their adulthood? Why would you not want to put that on record? Because it sells a different narrative. They want one focus. They want people to have one perception, and that's it. I'm not saying that the boys are guilty or anything, or the guys are guilty. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I can't rely on the Netflix or the people that told the Netflix story, or even the 5 boys, because there's an opposition narrative out there. And that narrative says they had relativeness to the boy that did it. They had a connection in some way to the boy that actually did it. And that's not vetted. It's not structurally communicated. And it's not even like people don't even want to put their hands on it. They don't want to investigate it. They don't want to talk about it because they'll get flagged or they'll get demonetized or some stuff like that. I'm being objective because my mother is playing an idiot person like this, talking points, and I cannot let that be. I just can't let it be. I can't let that narrative to be out there. Okay, I'm gonna try to wrap this up real quick. Okay.
And I said, okay. I said, let's keep it simple. What about lying? Because the orange dude lies a lot. She said, well, what about her lies?
And they never can say what he lie about. Everybody say he's a liar. He's a liar. He's a liar. He's a liar. If they ever tell you what Trump lies about, it's he said that he had 1 million people at his inauguration, and he didn't have 1 million people at his inauguration. So now we got to go and get the data, not from the government, because the government hates Trump. So now we got to figure out who's doing the analysis of how many people was at his actual inauguration. Even if it was 250,000, 300,000, 500,000 at his inauguration and it wasn't 1 million, you guys are classifying this as a lie that's detrimental to the society. Every company say, hey, our hotel is the greatest hotel in the world. It's the dream establishment, and you will never enjoy a comfort and experience like what you could experience at Trump Hotel. Four Seasons says that too. The W says that too. Westin says that too. The Hilton says that too. They embellish it. They embellish because he's a brander. They're gonna embellish their product. They're gonna embellish the actual context of the situation. I'm not saying that's what he did. I'm just saying I ain't got time to look up if he had 1 million people at his inauguration. But this is something that they ride all his last 10 years. Say he's a liar. He's a liar. He's a liar. He's a liar. Oh, he said this. He says, oh, we had the greatest such and such and such. We had the greatest economy and blah blah blah. And it's like these they have turned us into, they're gaslighting us because they embellish and they lie about context of things that they just want to inflate. But if you do it and they have the actual microphone, they have the platform, they can label you, and you're not saying, okay, hold on a second, okay, NBC, do you lie about anything? And then you start to go against the stuff that they actually put on air that they absolutely that it's a lie. How do you even have Trump not getting prosecuted by the IRS, the FBI, everything, and they actually want to prosecute him? Even the Attorney General and the AG and stuff in New York about his businesses and all that stuff, and they want to prosecute him on that. And then you fight it all the way to try to get political prosecutions and all kind of stuff. But in 2022, you guys had enough. And you had to put in a law that the statutes of limitations of any sexual assaults or anything like that is wiped. And you got 2 years to, if you have a sexual assault and you want to claim against the other person in a civil indictment or anything like that, we're going to put it on the books. We're going to take the statute of limitations away. Why did they do that? Because they had the ugly cat lady, the weird lady that he had to pay $83 million out to. Actually, they had to put it up for collateral until they fight it all the way up to the appellate court and the Supreme Court for him to get his name back. And that she's deciding that she's going to use Biden's campaign chairman's law firm free of charge to prosecute Trump on a statute that New York put into law in 2022 in order to indict him on something. And then that the New York citizens are so toxic and messy that they actually find him guilty of it and pay in the ruling. He hasn't been found guilty that he raped her, but he's liable because he what they call that, he had defamation on her character. So they awarded her $83 million because he said, I wouldn't touch her. She ugly. I wouldn't touch nothing like that. He said, she's not even my type. You know what I'm saying? And they indicted him because he put that out. And she said it defamed her character, calling her a liar. You just sued me for rape. You made an accusation that I raped you. And then the only evidence that they have that we had any contact on earth is that you were at a gala in New York, in high society New York, and I took a picture with you, and that day I took a picture with hundreds of people. And I'm found guilty because you see me on the news, you see me in the media, and I was actually running for president, and you don't like my policies, you don't like my political views, and then you decided, he's so slime ball, he gonna say that he just in that van, his on a hidden mic, they recorded him saying that when you're rich, you could just walk up to a girl because they love being around powerful rich people. You could just touch them and grab them by the, and they used that against him to indict him on something that he absolutely no factual evidence show that he ever did that to that lady. But he got the system against him. He got a statute that they put in law in order for them to prosecute him on a random thing that this wild, weird lady said he did to her. And there's no factual evidence to that. He can't be criminal liable to it because they had no evidence of it. So just by her saying it and him saying that she's a whack job, they say, well, you defamed her, calling her saying she's a whack job, and that said that she lied and that she was ugly and she's not your type. You defamed her. And just by him doing that, they find him guilty because they don't like his brash attitude. New Yorkers don't like his brash attitude. And all New Yorkers are despicable people. And that's the truth. If you're living in that, it's so funny. I watch Fox News and you got these Christian anchors and stuff, and they always talking about the evangelical stuff, but they live in the most degenerate culture on earth. It doesn't matter what the crazy stuff that's going on in other countries. That's all they fighting tooth and nail, the poor and the rich. They destroy each other and they living in the same environment. But in America, it's a choice of degeneracy. It's extremely a choice of it. And it's a culture and an okay thing and an advocacy thing in New York, even if you're an evangelical Christian and all the other stuff. I know I'm going down the weeds on this situation, but that's the context of lying. Gaslighting is when I accuse you of what I'm doing. And if you know anything in this country, the last 10 years has been extremity of gaslighting by the Democrats and the elites. Who are the elites? Anybody that got major influence. For some reason, it's a war on the little guys, on the average people. It's a war on us. I don't even know how they think they're going to coexist. You need us to stock your shelves. You need us to cut your grass. You need us to clean your houses. You need us. And they said, no, we don't. We got new citizens coming in. We got new citizens coming into this country. New type of people that we could trust to actually magnify themselves, because the black people are bottom of the dumpster. And maybe it's a few of you guys will survive. Because now we allow white liberals in a political party put our culture and our race as we're third-rate citizens now in our own country. Third-rate citizens. Because we don't want to fight that fight. I know this is a lot of context that I'm giving you. I know it sounds wonky, but I'm just letting you guys know. You can't just let people just communicate like this. There's a lot of things in context. I can't fight you on what kind of, what do you think about his lies? What lie? What specific lie? I could debunk all of them, but what lie? If you randomly say that and just have it generally out there, it's hard to fight against his lies. So when you say, what about his lies? Well, what about her lies? You lose the argument, you lose the narrative, because you responded back to an uncontext or a lack of substance person with lack of substance. You have to say, what lie? No. What lie? And then debunk that lie. But most people are busting their ass and they trying to survive. They do not watch the news. They do not understand the context. They don't listen to the press conference. They don't do all this other stuff that a comedian or a podcaster or a filmmaker could do to get context in the different stories that they want to tell. So we do our research. We got information up the wazoo in our head, and we consume a lot of information. Even if we're doing labor, we consume a lot of information because it's part of who we are. It's innately in us now. But he using his ability of being a comedian and of being a person of context against you, and you will have to be able to be the same measure. Like they say, equally yoked. This conversation, you need to be equally yoked. And most of the time, people get in conversations where they're not equally yoked to have that conversation. Okay?
And I said, okay, is lying wrong? Simple question. Is lying wrong, yes or no? She says, well, what about her lies? I said, can you just say if lying is...
Lying is absolutely wrong. It's absolutely wrong. You think this idiot is not lying? He is absolutely lying. He's lying to his wife. He's lying to his family. He's lying to his partners. He's lying to somebody in the context of his life. Why? Because to be extremely objective and be extremely honest is at your own detriment. I lived that life. He's not going to do it. It's not in his best interest. You absolutely. Now, I don't lie. I just don't answer. If I have to lie to you, I don't even talk about it. I don't even want to conversate about it. If it's something that I got to kind of wiggle myself out of, I don't even talk about it, because what's the point of talking about it? And you want me to lie in order for us to not get in a contentious situation or a combative situation or a versus situation or an oppositional situation. So it's better to not even say anything or tell the truth. If you open your mouth and you say something, you got to tell the truth. You got to be extremely honest and objective. Otherwise, just don't say nothing. Just don't answer the question. Don't answer the question. Don't conduct in the conversation about whatever the context is. Don't tell the truth. Don't communicate the truth if it's going to be where the end results of it is not in the best interest of everybody involved. I say avoid it. But if you have to actually communicate the actual truth, then you have to understand anything goes. You have to be ready for anything goes. If you can actually avoid anything goes, you should be doing that. That's the wise thing to do. You got to play your hand. You get what I'm saying? But if you can avoid it, avoid it. But if there's no avoiding it, do not hold yourself out. Do not devalue yourself. You give the utmost brutal, extreme objectivity truth to the situation, because that might be the only time you're going to be able to have that interaction after communicating the truth. There's no easy ways to the truth. There's no soft cushioning of the truth. The truth is the truth. And I think you should put a little advocacy to your truth when you tell the truth. That's what I feel. He's asking about that, but people, he's gaslighting you. Know he's a liar. And know that he got lies that he tells on a day-to-day basis, probably that day that he did tell. And he's asking you to put you in a situation of moral argument. We live in a devalued society, in a degenerate, in a cesspool of a society. Why? Because we have to be inclusive. We have no choice in this matter. In order to be inclusive to people's way of life and the different things that they're doing in their life and who they are and stuff like that, in order for us to walk around, work, be interacting, be friends, have family members, and have conducive harmony in this society, we have to degrade our morals. We have to degrade our values, because if you be totally honest and blunt and objective and fully honest about your morals and your values, they don't include a lot of stuff that's going on in our culture. And you're going to be at contentious, combative situations in the vein of it. So what we do is we compromise. When you compromise to be inclusive, you don't have any morals. You don't have any values. You have some kind of morals, some kind of value. I know. I told myself I'm going to try not to make this an hour, and I just went an hour. Please listen to this podcast if you guys get the chance, okay? And I'm going to try to wrap this up, because this is literally 3 minutes of audio of this guy, but I wanted to keep it in context, okay? So let's do this. Let's wrap this guy up.
Wrong. That's sign number one, by the way. If you can't definitively say lying is wrong, that tells me you're a defender of the orange dude because you're okay with his lies. But then she said, well.
And the orange dude. When a person calls Trump orange, I know that's part of the culture, because that's what news anchors and comedians, not even comedians, they get that from, like, some people are hating him on like MSNBC, and they call him orange because of his tanning that he does or whatever the hell that is. You get what I'm saying? And they call him orange dude. So when I see a guy in the hood, not even in the hood, because I'm pretty sure Burnett is pretty well to do, and I'm pretty sure the car he's driving is about 60, 80 grand and up. So he ain't the person I'm talking about. But I do hear this in the inner city a lot. And when black people start to call him orange, I know that they took on the talking points of a white, powerful, elite liberal. And you don't even have on reflex, because he's saying this on reflex. So he's saying it so many times that it's become part of him to communicate Trump as the orange man. But you don't even have an individual perspective, because you are someone else's perception and perspective in their views and the way that they think. That's why I say even leaders in our culture are slave mind, are people that actually don't have an objective to. It's a thought process in their head. Theirs is that perspective mine's, or is that President Obama's, Michelle Obama? Is it my heroes? Is it my favorite movie star? Is it my favorite singer? Is it my favorite politician? If it's my favorite author? They don't even know, because it's so scrambled, and there's so many of other people's perception and perspectives inside your head that who you are is not even you. And look, I do it. Look, I'm telling you guys, don't take my advice. It's not for your best interest to not adopt the overlord's thought process. You can make more money. You can be more successful if you if you just follow the rules. If you become a sheep to another person's will and their perspective and their goals and what they want to drive and what narratives that they want to communicate, and have you adjust and how can I say, advocate their own other people's point of view. So I know I'm getting jumbled up here, but of course lying is wrong. I think you disrespect yourself by lying, because I always say, if you lie to somebody, that means you fear them. And if you fear somebody, that means you fear the outcome of what they may do when you tell them the truth, and that may not be in your best interest. I don't fear anybody. I don't fear my parents. I don't fear my family. I don't fear my society. I don't fear like anyone to lie to them. That's a disservice to me. So what I try to do is be as honest as I possibly can, and try my best to not talk about something that can divide me to somebody against someone I love. You know what I mean? And I care about, and I want longevity relationship with them. So I may avoid it, or I may just tell the truth to end the relationship, I guess. It's almost like a passive-aggressive thing. So that's how I feel about that.
So the whole debate, I said, tell me the lie that she told in the debate. She said, all of them. I said, tell me one.
She said that he wants to ban abortion. He wants to ban abortion. Trump want to ban abortion. First, you got to go through his whole life to know how liberal he is. And one is women that are fighting to do unlimited abortion or abortions and stuff. That's a whole nother conversation. We'll talk about that on another time, okay? But men, we don't care about if y'all have abortions. You know what that does for us? It gives us an easy way out. It's an anomaly that you got degenerate guys that get women pregnant and they just leave and they don't take care of the kid. That's an anomaly. We're talking about a 1 to 2% margin at best. Most men, if they get a woman pregnant, they actually, no matter where they at, if they a loser, they a bum, they whatever y'all want to call them, they step it up. Why? Because they not going to have their kid out there struggling like they struggle, going through the disrespect in life that they went through in their life. They step it up. Most men do that. Okay? So you got 40% men that ain't even having sex. Women don't even give them the time of day. You got another 30% that's actually like interacting with women and actually trying to have wet marriages and raise families and all that stuff. And then you got another 10%, 10 to 20% that's part of the high functioning elite. And they just don't want to settle down with one lady and go their whole life with one lady. So they end up messing around with multiple women, having multiple women get pregnant because the options is everybody want them. They're making $70,000, $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 a year and up. And they get all these women trying to get taken care of and become part of that life that they like, oh my God, you know, and the women, they know about the other wife or the woman or something like that. And they just do it because it's just like it's options. Those are the anomalies. The 20% is the anomaly. Most men want a woman. They want to create a child and they want to go through it with the person. But the standards of coexisting now has put a situation where it's the level up culture. Meaning that don't talk to me unless you got $100,000 and you're driving a $60,000 car and up. Don't even talk to me. So men are not even engaging with women. Okay? The level up culture. And then the women that are getting the abortions are the majority of women, because if you're a woman, most of the time you're attractive enough to have sex with. Not married, not settled down with, but you're attractive enough to have sex with. And that makes possibility of pregnancies pretty high out there. Okay, and then women had need options because they can't get this guy to settle down with them, and he's telling them, hey, you need to get a bunch. I know I ain't settling down with you, and they decide, oh, it was a fun night. Oh man, I didn't use a condom on that situation, and then they actually do the morning after. We don't talk about those abortions. We don't talk about the pregnancy pills abortions because those are abortions that's going on. It's just not known because it's happening through the system. The 44 million abortions that happened in our country since the 1970s to now, that's extraction abortions, okay? I'm not saying it's bad. I'm saying men, we want the easy way out. So if you're wacky enough to go get an abortion, I don't want to build no relationship with you. You're a whack job. That's how men think. I know that sounds terrible, but that's how men think. But we not got you. Men have collectively put themselves on the sidelines. We have lowered our masculinity in order to elevate women. You cannot have two drivers driving for goals and accomplishments and domination and be in a cohesive environment. You can't do that. Somebody got to take the supporting role. Somebody has to. And it so happened to be that for 30, 40 years, 50 years, men have said, hey, we'll be in very contentious situation with women. So we have to kind of lower our masculinity to even coexist with what women want in society. So you have 40, 50 years of us actually attempting this theory of elevation of women, working rights, or they equilibrium rights, or whatever you want to call it. And what do women say now? I'm tired of these beta males. I'm tired of these weak men. I need a real man. I need an alpha man. But this is the society that you guys want. You cannot elevate without somebody taking up observation role. If you're taking an observation role while somebody's doing it, they're going at it, you're the supporter then. You just don't notice it yet, but you're the supportive. And that's what happened to men and women relationships. And that's why women are saying, no, I'm not settling out with this guy. I just was horny. He got too many girls on his side. Or I'm not going to settle down with this man. I'm not going to let this pregnancy, I'm not going to be no single mom. And that flares up the abortion. So I say it again. Trump, he hates the government, and he hates how much power the government has. And the people that support him hates the government and hates how much power the government has. Our fight is in a detailed situation, and I'll say this and I'll wrap this up real quick. Our fight is in a detailed situation, meaning that, for example, we allow our black senators, our black congresspeople to go to Washington and put a statute into law that if an FBI agent walks up to us and asks us a question, and if it's a question that was something that happened 2 years ago or something that happened last week, and we don't understand or remember the full context of the situation, and they can show us video or recording, a forensic of our tracking of something that we knew, but we didn't communicate it in a truthful manner to the officer, just by them asking us, and if it could be construed that what we said in response is a lie, they can give you 1 to 5 years. Most of the time, the FBI don't prosecute you on that unless you just totally not gonna abide by what they want. If you're not going to give them what they want, then they'll prosecute you on that. Most of the time, it's for you to give them something more, for you to destroy something more of yourself or whatever the situation is, or to limit your abilities more. So we allow black senators, black congressmen from our state and our cities to go to Washington to put that law into play against us, against an American citizen. And that statute itself is against your 4th and 5th Amendment right. So it goes against 2, search and seizure, and your First Amendment of communication to prosecute and indict your own self, or to give information that may criminalize you. I'm not saying when an FBI agent walks up to you and asks you a question, you're a criminal. I'm not saying that, but it could be something. Did you go to this website when you were on the internet? And you don't remember, or you don't understand what kind of, because they give a generalization of the title or the phrasing of that website, and it may not be the actual remembrance how you look at the website you went to, but you went to that website, but you didn't remember, so you lied, and then they give you forensic computer image to say that you did. This is your computer, this is your IP address, this is your location. You went to that actual website. And you're like, holy shit. You get what I'm saying? And now they got you in a questioning box telling you, well, we're going to prosecute you for 1 to 5 years unless you stop posting the stuff that you post on the internet. You stop communicating this that you communicate on the internet, and take it off your internet page. Take it off your podcast. And that's what happens. And we have black people that went to Congress in Washington, D.C. and put these statutes into play. In order to get that statute wiped off the books, we got to take it up to the court, then the appellate court, and to the Supreme Court to get our 4th and 5th Amendment rights back from the FBI. The FBI is supposed to be a private investigation arm for the individual citizens' rights. Their thing is to make sure that not one American citizen gets their right infringed on. That's what the FBI original concept and the actual bylaws are. And what are they doing? They're investigating us for intelligence. like they're like it's intelligence against us. In order for them to get ahead in a whatever investigation that they're doing, they using spy tactics and espionage tactics against us in order for us to respond to them in a favorable way that they feel that we should respond to them in. I say that for example because when you're talking about statutes and laws and what did he say right here? Give me 1 second.
I said, tell me the lie that she told in the debate. She said, all of them. I said, tell me one.
Abortion. So when he's saying, no, I'm going to give this to you guys. I want every single American, 350 million of y'all, to make the decisions in your city, in your state, to what your abortion rights will be. This is not a conversation that 9 justices in a building, judges, corrupt system in this corrupt country we have to make the decision for 350 million people. No, have some responsibility for the crazy stuff y'all want to do and go to the ballot box in your own city, in your own state, and you make your opinions known and you vote for what's the standards. Do you want 6 weeks abortion? Do you want 15 weeks of abortion? Do you want 21 weeks of abortion? Make that decision. I'm not going to allow 5 justices in the Supreme Court to dominate 350 million people in what y'all doing to the birthing rate of women or whatever y'all society and the decisions y'all making, the tactics that y'all use to regulate birth. Y'all make that decision in your own cities and your own states. I'm not going to allow these 9 knuckleheads to make that decision. And that's how it was for 50 years, y'all. Not one law should be voted on or judged on by 9 people. A congressman, a senator should not be making judgments in Washington, D.C. on a bill that's put up by the party or the actual establishment of the council. They should say, I'm not voting on this until I go raise a town hall and back at home in my district and I talk to hundreds and thousands of people and give them the option to come to that town hall and talk to me about this bill that you guys asking me to pass. And if they say they want me to pass this bill, then I'll pass the bill. I'll come back to Washington and pass it. That's how that's supposed to be. But what we got? We got a bunch of people going to Washington, D.C., bringing up bills, and they voting on it amongst each other because they say, oh, well, I'm here to represent you. No, you idiot, you my secretary. You find out information in Washington, D.C., in the Congress, in the Senate, the conversations y'all having with the president, and you come and get my approval. And you walk me through it. You do a keynote, you do a podcast, you do something, and you walk me through the decision you making. And then you take a tally of what we actually want in this district to that law that you about to pass. That's how that's supposed to go. Okay? So, I'm only saying this because you're not supposed to take information from an idiot comedian like this. You're not. And he put himself out there. He put himself out there to be intellectual, communicating to other people, and then say this weird interaction that he had at a car wash to manipulate you to what his perception of how intelligent he is, and that you better vote for Kamala because look how smart I am against some whack ass Trump supporters. But he's the dumbest person in the conversation. The Trump supporters instinctively know something ain't right. Listen to what he's saying.
She couldn't tell me that, so I had to move on from that. I wanted to get out of there. I'm waiting to pick up my car. I see one lady saw what happened previously, and I just say to her, I said, I ain't got a problem with who you vote for.
So this is a second lady, okay? See, I ain't got no problem with if you a Trump supporter. Like, lady, they ain't coming up to you, talking to you. You randomly walking up. Obviously, he lives in a suburban area. He lives in a luxury environment, so he's around a lot of white people, and he got his Kamala story, and he's just saying, you white, I know you voting for Trump. I know you voting for Trump. And he's going on the attack. That's what's going on. Listen to nuance is everything, y'all. Objectivity is everything. Unless you know in a conversation when people just lie. They just lie. And they leave the context out because they know they're going to get judged with a different perception than what they want you to perceive. It's ridiculous. The powerful, the elites, the arrogance, they actually use your ignorance against you. That's why y'all can't support these people. You magnify these people. Trump got Tulsi Gabbard, Elon Musk, Vivek Ramaswamy, and Bobby Kennedy actually part of the main people in his administration already. And they already know what their task gonna be. I want those type of people in this corrupt country, these elite people that's having a good time. Have you ever been to Washington, D.C.? Porsche moved their headquarters to Washington, D.C. You know why? It's so much money that they blowing money on Porsches. They blowing money on Porsches. That Porsche is making turnover cash flow. They doing the numbers that Ford and GM is doing in Washington, D.C. and the people that come across Washington, D.C. They get so much turnover in the actual selling of Porsches that they said, we put our headquarters in Washington, D.C. because that's how Washington, D.C. is. It's money. And where's that money coming from? You dummy.
I just wanted to be based off facts. A dude picks up his head from his phone, looks at my shirt and scoffs. He says, well, the fact's coming from that side. And I said, what do you mean? He says, well, look, she messed up everything. I said, how did she mess up everything? He says, well, she was the border czar. And I said, that's not a real thing. You know that.
That's how the media taught him. He's a whore. I'm going on it now. We turning it up. He's a whore comedian to be a whore for the system and to be a whore for the elites and the liberal media to come and gaslight us. Oh, it's a border czar. You know that's not nothing. That's how they always say. But guess who called them a border czar? CBS called her a border czar at the time of CNN, CBS, MSNBC. They used that word border czar to calcify her, to give a blanket to stop saying that she was in charge of the immigration policies in the country. I'm a liar. Okay, give me a second. It's ridiculous. Grab and drop this. Okay. I always keep this on arm just in case somebody talk to me or try to question me against how crooked the narrative is. So give me a second so I can bring this on in. I had to go find it. Because you guys, she was in charge of the immigration for Mexico, all that immigration stuff with the border crossings, all that stuff. That's what she's in charge of. But I'll let them say it. Okay? I'll take a few more minutes to do this. Give me a second. Let me make sure. Okay, good.
Also today, I said when we became a team and got elected that the vice president was going to be the last person in the room. She didn't realize that means she gets every assignment. But an agreement.
I know y'all slow, so I'm gonna make sure that I keep things in context. He's saying when I teamed up with her, when we became candidates, and she became my vice president, she didn't know that I was gonna give her so much responsibility. But you know, this was gotta happen. Okay, listen to it.
And all of us here have been working very hard. The vice president is going to be the last person in the room. I said when we became a team and got elected that the vice president is going to be the last person in the room.
Meaning that when they got elected, he knew that he was L, and he knew that something was up with him, and he said, hey, you're going to be the last person here, and you're going to be the candidate. Because I truly believe he was supposed to step aside. He was never supposed to run for re-election. That's another conversation, okay? But he said, you're going to be the last person in the room.
She didn't realize that means she gets every assignment.
She didn't realize that she was going to get every assignment. What does that mean? You are the president. I'm too ill. I have major issues with me. You are the president. You're going to have to take control of major policies that I don't think that's like little stuff. Like, I'll take care of the things that can be taken care of, that if they need to see that I'm operating, that I'm running the country, that I'm doing being president. But the main stuff that needs stress and attention to, I need you to be a president and take over those stuff, because these are the major, this is part of your stuff. You're the real one that's going to be the real president, doing the real negotiations with different countries and doing the different communication and talking on the phone with them. You're going to be the main person doing that. So, but it's certain things that you're going to have to take care of, that I'm going to have to delegate to you in order for it to get taken care of, because I can't do it. I have to be on it so much in order to tackle it. You know how to do this. You're a prosecutor. You know how to take care of criminals. Do it.
But the Vice President and I and all of us here have been working very hard to pass the legislation that is going to beat this virus, as well as get people back to work and change their prospects. And so she's traveling all over the country working that. In addition to that, there's about 5 other major things she's handling, but I've asked her, the VP today, because she's the most qualified person to do it, to lead our efforts with Mexico and the Northern Triangle and the countries that help us. We're going to need help in stemming the movement of so many folks, stemming the migration to our southern border.
You hear that? Dummies. You hear that? It's her responsibility to talk to Mexico and the South American countries to stop all the people from coming into our borders, to regulate our borders, okay? It's for her to manage that border. I'll play that again, because you guys might want to try to mess with the wording.
Need help in stemming the movement and the countries that help us. We're going to need help in stemming the movement of so many folks, stemming the migration to our southern border.
So that means that she needs to put in place a strategy to stop all the migration into the country. You don't need that. When they came into office, Trump had 28,000 Mexican soldiers. That's better than a wall. That he threatened Mexico to put on our border. Now, he didn't know that they were going to respond back with 28,000 soldiers. He was just telling them to stop letting them come into his country and stop letting them cross into our border. That's what he was asking them to do. Mexico thought he was a joke and told them, yeah, y'all worry about y'all border. He told them, hey, well, if you're not going to do nothing, I'm going to hit a tariff 200 folds on you. And we ain't letting none of your product come into this country. They're like, hold on a second, y'all how we eat. Y'all so much, y'all need our drugs, y'all need everything. You know what I mean? They ain't saying like that, but they like, hey, our car manufacturing that we took from Detroit, that we took from Ohio, all that stuff is in Mexico now, and we gotta be able to, our people eat off of us exporting your businesses back into your company, into your country. Let me say that again. Mexico eats and survives, and they have a government, and they have military people, and they have an actual city and different resorts and all the other stuff. And that stuff comes from us, our companies manufacturing in Mexico and sending it back into our country for consumption by the American people. Okay? That's what's up. So Trump say, I'm going to stop all that. I don't care about none of those companies. I'm going to stop everything. They say, oh, no, calm down. They decided to put 28,000 soldiers on the 2,000-mile. I got the video of this, and I got the announcement of all this stuff. The 2,000-mile border of America, 28,000 soldiers. And Trump put an executive action for those soldiers to be, Mexico soldiers to be on the Mexican side to stop people from coming over there. And if any migration comes into Mexico, Mexico got to keep them in their country until we deem that we want them in our country or that we accept their asylum claim. So that's why you hear to remain in Mexico. That was Trump executive order. Biden and Kamala came in, signed 93 executive orders to stop all the stuff that Trump had to stop people from coming into that border. That's how good he had it. That they couldn't just stop it. They had to sign 93 executive orders to stop it. Then the migration, the churches, GOs, all of them start to communicate to a lot of the South America. Oh, Biden. Oh, they're South American citizens. They're South Americans. Not American citizens. Biden accepted immigrants, and then all the caravans start coming. That's how y'all got all the migration into the country. All the young kids getting murdered and raped and everything like that. He got it from them doing that. Effective of when they had this conversation, this was like the first year that they was in administration and they did this. So they technically decided that they wanted to try to fix and stop some of the migration going on, and they failed for 3 years. The bill that they say that Trump killed, that came in February 5th, 2024. You know the damage that was done before that bill came into play? And 5,000 to 7,000 people a month. 5,000 to 7,000 people a day cross over our border in that mass migration that we were watching for the first 3 years. 2001, 2002, 2003. That was the average of that was 5,000 to 7,000 people coming across per day. In the new law, it makes it where they could do that by law, literally. It says that 5,000 people can cross over to our border. They don't have to come through the front entrance. They don't have to come in through the legal way. They can come in any possible way that they can get here, but we don't criminalize it no more. We actually allow them to come in lawfully, and we have a number. And they said this number is the total amount of 5,000 people per day for 7 days a week. Meaning that at a point, if they get 35,000 people come in one day, then you got to close the border so you can handle all those people and open it back up when you manage it. But if you get 5,000 people, you can open it back up and get another 5,000 that day. Why? Because you didn't get 5,000 per day. You didn't get 35,000 per people in a 7-day period. So it can inflate it. And when they did quiet the southern border down, we had an app called a CBP app that allows for people to claim asylum on an app in Venezuela, in Mexico, or anything like that. We fly them in to different states, and they actually been putting them in all swing states. Do your research on this. And we fly them in and give them asylum. So we didn't stop the border, because even after that, 1.5 million people that they want to tell us came in through the flying them in. And we still got hundreds of thousands of people coming in through San Diego the same exact way. They just not coming in majorly through Texas and New Mexico and all that stuff, Arizona no more. They coming through San Diego or flying them in to make it seem like our border situation has stopped. So after you listen to this conversation, just think about that damage. Think about the 12-year-old kids, the girls, the women that are getting murdered and totally killed and murdered and raped. And those are Pacific people that got done from people that actually came into our border from 2001 to now. That's why you don't vote for her.
And, back when I was vice president, I got a similar assignment, but one of the things we did was we made sure that we got a bipartisan agreement with Democrats and Republicans to provide over $700 million to the countries in the Northern Triangle to determine the best way to keep people from coming is keep them from wanting to leave. And the reason why so many people were leaving, we learned, was that not only gang violence and trafficking and cartels, but natural disasters, hurricanes, floods, earthquakes. And so it's not like someone sits around a hand-hewn table somewhere in Guatemala and says, I got a great idea, let's sell everything we have, give the money to a coyote, have them take our kids or us to the border of America, take us across, leave us in the desert, we don't speak the language. Won't that be fun?
He's been sarcastic, but that's absolutely what they do. They come over here and they get a house in 2 years. Like they own a house in 2 years and they're illegals. That's how, dude, I got plenty of episodes. I'm not even going to talk about it right now. I got the data. I'm not just saying this stuff to you. I don't lie. I'm extremely objective. If I say something in this podcast, I have data. I have episodes where I actually show you the facts, but just put in your comments or whatever. Put it in my mom's comment because I'll send this to her as soon as I'm done. Okay? I dedicate this episode to you, Mom. Don't listen to the ignorant fools out there that may have clout but no intelligence. And they actually use what you don't got time to understand or to find out because you're too busy. You ain't got time to be finding all the nooks and cranny. And then if this big multi-billion-dollar apparatus of MSNBC, is they lying? How could they be lying? You got to be lying. You don't nobody. You don't got that kind of money. I know, Mom. I'm telling you, they're liars. It is. If you let me walk you through how much they're lying, it'll make you sick to your stomach. Yes, I'm glad we voted for President Obama, but he's a liar. He's a liar. Okay, I don't know why. I love him, but he's a liar, and I think we're a joke to him. I don't know why he looks at us like that, but I think he thinks our culture and our race and just how we think is a joke to him, and he uses it against us. He uses our ignorance against us. Another episode. I'll stop. Let me let him finish telling you how much it was their responsibility and how much it was her responsibility to take over this, okay? And to be in charge and stop young girls from getting raped and murdered. This is way before they got raped and murdered. But this was her this is what she was supposed to do, but she felt, no, we gotta replace these black people because they degenerates, they're aborting all their babies. We got no population growth with these knuckleheads. So we gotta replace them because we gotta take the white vote away. We gotta lower the white vote and higher the minority vote because now everybody's a color person. Everybody's a minority now. So that's the scheme. That's the scheme. Okay? And they won. I'm not going to lie to you. They won. Look, I can't tell you that she won't win tomorrow. But I'm just saying, if she does, it's unforgivable.
One of the ways we learned is that if you deal with the problems in country, it benefits everyone. It benefits us, it benefits the people, it grows the economies there. Unfortunately, the last administration eliminated that funding, did not engage in it, did not use it, even though there was over $700 million to help get this done. We're reinstituting that program. And there are, as I said, there are many factors as to why people leave in the first place. But this is the source of one of the reasons why we've had such a, before we took office, in the midst of the last administration's somewhat draconian policies of separating children from their parents, etc., what happened was
that was the least of our problems, our perception of illegal immigrants coming into this country, and we separating kids, putting them in a kids area so they can eat and deal with other kids and stuff like that in an attention center, and us separating them from their parents and stuff and regulating how it's managed in the disease and certain kind of crazy stuff that we had to manage in a border area. That's the least of how we supposed to be going about abortion. I mean, a border policies is that we don't want to be perceived that we're separating. You separate the shit out of them. Fuck them. They came over this country illegal. And sorry, my language. I'm going to try to cut that out before I send this over. They tried to come into our country illegal and destroy our demographic, our economical structure, and everything. And this is what he's talking about in 2017, 2018, 2019, and 2020 when Trump was running things. He's complaining about separation of family. You crazy? What if what y'all did happened? What if that happened? Now you know the consequences of it.
That we found that there were a serious spike in the number of people heading to the southern border, even in the midst of that. And as Alejandro can tell you, that was because there were serious natural disasters that occurred in those countries.
We can let anybody, we can let the whole world come into America because it's hurricanes and tornadoes and all that kind of stuff going on. Nope. Okay? I learned this the hard way. You have to give stability to yourself unmercifully before you can help anybody else out. And I thought I needed to be more community. It's impossible to make movies by yourself. You have to try your best to be a community and everything is ours. But you'll destroy yourself doing that. So I found out early, these people I'm not going to get nothing accomplished. Like being in agreement. I got to manipulate y'all. I got to get what I want to get out of y'all. I got to make you do things that you don't know that you're doing that's against your best interest in order to get what I want to get accomplished, because what I want to get accomplished is the bigger picture, and all you guys are momentarily, you think it's small. You're thinking like a little person, and if you're going to think like a little person, do the tasks I need you to do, because I got to think above that. And I found that out the hard way, but I executed pretty damn well on it.
They were coming north, and we did nothing to do much about it. So this new surge we're dealing with now started with the last administration, but it's our responsibility to deal with it humanely and to stop what's happening.
You hear that? It's his responsibility to deal with it humanely and stop what's happening. Okay? So they taking accountability. I'm showing you a video that they taking accountability at the border because you guys just let all these kids get raped and killed and murdered, and you still go to the ballot box voting for these people that actually knew this was going on. She's a prosecutor. Do you understand? She's a DA, ex-DA, ex-prosecutor. That means that she had photos and pictures on her desk for decades, for enough time where she's seeing dead women, bodies, rape victims, and all kind of horrific images of people. So she got a stomach for the catastrophic stuff that was going on in that border, but she felt it was for the greater good. We got to replace these white votes. But what they did, in the midst of trying to replace the white vote, they replaced black vote. Now our votes don't mean nothing. Or at least this will be the last election where it will mean nothing.
Now started with the last administration, but it's our responsibility to deal with it humanely and to stop what's happening. And so this increase has been consequential. But the vice president's agreed, among the multiple other things that have happened at the meeting, and I appreciate it, agreed to lead our diplomatic effort and work with those nations to accept the returnees and enhance migration enforcement at their borders. We're already talking with Mexico about that. She's already done that. We're going to be dealing with.
He said that they gotta stop the migration coming into their people, and Trump already had that set. And you signed executive orders, and Mexico removed the 28,000 soldiers that were protecting all their borders in every inch of our border. You stopped it. What you asking for it now? It's a lie. And this press conference may have been a lie when they did it. You get what I'm saying? But she taking the responsibility of it. She already talking to Mexico for them to stop the migration from their borders to protect their border. That's what he just got through saying. I'll let y'all listen to it already. So she was already supposed to be managing it, and she failed.
We're already talking with Mexico about that. She's already done that. We're going to be dealing with a full team now that we have to be able to deal with the problem here at home, but also to deal with it now in terms of in country. And I can think of nobody who's better qualified to do this than this is a woman who ran the second largest Attorney General's office in America after the United States Attorney General in the state of California, and has done a great deal upholding human rights, but also fighting organized crime in the process. So it's not her full responsibility and job, but she's leading the effort, because I think the best thing to do is to put someone who, when he or she speaks, they don't have to wonder about, is that where the president is? When she speaks for me, doesn't have to check with me, she knows what she's doing, and I hope we can move this along. But
saying that we got a whole team here, we got different people that's to help her deal with different structures of the migration and the immigration situation of the different countries and with the policies of them to manage their borders. But she got a whole team here, but I couldn't find nobody better to lead it but a person that prosecute people, that dealt with criminals, that dealt with situations at the border and all that stuff like that, but her. And I'm putting it, she don't have to check with me. This is what he said. Grind it. She don't have to check with me. She talks for me, she thinks for me, and she doesn't even have to check with me. She has approval of the presidency. That's what he said. I'll play it again for you because I know y'all slow, okay? But check this out.
Who, when he or she
not
speaks,
my mom.
They don't
other
have
people
to
that might
wonder
come across
about,
this video.
Is that where the president is? When she speaks for me. Because I think the best thing to do is to put someone who, when he or she speaks, they don't have to wonder about, is that where the president is? When she speaks for me, doesn't have to check with me, she knows what she's doing, and I hope we can move this along. So, Madam Vice President, thank you. I gave you a tough job, and you're smiling, but there's no one better capable of trying to organize this for us.
Well, thank you, Mr. President, and for having the confidence in me. And there's no question that it's a challenging situation. As the President has said, there are many factors that lead President to leave these countries. And while we are clear that people should not come to the
she mentioned is different factors that make people want to leave their country, not president. But I'll let her get by on her gaffe.
To leave these countries, and said there are many factors that lead President to leave these countries. And while we are clear that people should not come to the border now, we also understand that we will enforce the law. And that we also, because we can chew gum and walk at the same time, must address the root causes that cause people to make.
Meaning that she's got to manage the laws and people making sure they abide by the laws, and how people cross over this country and migrating over to this country, that they abide by our rule of laws. But we can find out why they leaving their countries too and try to help other countries stop the migration. There are people coming into our country. So pretty much the totality of immigration situation that she's communicating her intelligence on it. And what happened? She failed. This was in 2021, y'all, March 2021. She failed. Could you imagine? Go look up what happened in all of 2021 and 2022 and 2023. And then she's on the campaign trail talking to you guys. The reason why this happened to immigration, because of a bill that we passed in 2024 to stop all the migration that happened in 2021, 2022, 2023. And you guys so dumb that you're not even understanding what I'm saying. And if I just blame Trump for stuff, you'll get triggered and you'll vote for me. When I murdered women and kids with my crazy ideological point of view to replace the white vote. But oops, I hurt Hispanic communities and black communities, because this is where the legal immigrants migrate to. They ain't going into white areas. They ain't going into the suburban areas. Not unless we use government money and buy them homes and put them there. They not migrating that. So this is a minority issue. And oops.
The trek, as the President has described, to come here. And I look forward to engaging in diplomacy with government, with private sector, with civil society, and the leaders of each in El Salvador, Guatemala, and Honduras to strengthen democracy and the rule of law and ensure shared prosperity in the region. We will collaborate with Mexico and other countries throughout the Western Hemisphere. And as part of this effort, we expect that we will have collaborative relationships to accomplish the goals the President has and that we share. I also look forward to working with members of the Congress who I think share our perspective on the need to address root causes for the migration that we've been seeing. And needless to say, the work will not be easy, but it is important work. It is work that we demand and the people of our countries, I believe, need to help stem the tide that we have seen.
Okay? I know. It's hard. Because all your heroes lied to you and you're really finding out. If they lied about this situation, holy januckles. Let's go back to the idiot Burn. I don't know. I gotta look up his name. What's his name? Burnett or something like that. Let's go back to this idiot talking, running his mouth.
Right? That's not a real term. So, well, that's her title. I said, that's not a real thing. He says, well, she was in charge of the border. I said, if you're mad about the border, you should be mad about him shutting down the border deal. One, he didn't believe.
I told you about the border deal that he's talking about because he's too stupid to know what he's talking about. He's not an intelligent person. And that's the thing. That's how you judge intelligence. Your ability to know what you know and what you don't know. That's intelligence. In his perception of how dumb you are, not my mom, but broad generally, okay, he's using the ignorance that you don't know what the context or the truth of what he's talking about if he knows it. Now, if he doesn't know it, he doesn't even understand that he's out of his depth talking about the border deals and everything like that. I told you it was 5,000 to 7,000 without any bill since 2001, 2002, 2003 that was coming to hit our border daily. They was going to put in a law by Republican. That's how wild. I'm telling you, this country is doomed by Republican knuckleheads. Was going to put a border policy on to validate 5,000 border crossing per day legally now. So pretty much everything that we seen that was horrific, that we thought was crazy and catastrophic, all the murders, all the rapes, all the crazy stuff that was going on with the border crossing, we were going to put that into law to keep it in perpetuity. That's what that bill was saying. Now, Trump ain't got no control of the Republican Party until he got power. He got to have power. That's why the perception that they try to keep friendly with him because the people love him. But I promise you this, 70% of all the people that vote for Trump, they not voting for Republicans. They will go into the dark ages if it's no Trump. Okay? They will come out to stop people that went against Trump, but they're going to the dark ages. So look, that's another thing, okay? I know I'm giving away too much sauce, okay? But look at this. That's the situation. So when he talks like this, he don't know what those building policies was. He don't know what's in that bill. He didn't read those bills. He don't know what's in there. He don't know why it was turned down and why Trump talk negative about it on the campaign trail, but he didn't call people up and tell them that. That's the narrative of the media saying, oh, Trump called the people up. What phone calls you talking about? What are you talking about? Trump said this on the campaign trail, but he ain't talking to no senators and no congressmen, and they don't like him enough to listen to him. They're forced to be on bending knees to him because of his power that the people are giving him. Let's let this idiot finish up. Okay. Sorry. I don't know what's going on here. Give me a second, guys.
You should be mad about him shutting down the border deal. One, he didn't believe it. Every Republican that I brought up that admitted that he did close the border deal because he needed something to run on, he says you can't trust him. I said, so you can't trust any Republican?
So he give you a bunch of junk. Oh, so these Republicans that talk to him, and I don't know who. I can't specifically tell you which one talked to him, but I know that there was some that talked to him. But you don't know who I'm talking to, so I get to use your ignorance against you. You get what I'm saying? And the actual Republican, whoever he talking about, that was a Trump supporter, he said, you can't believe none of the Republicans. And he said, well, you can't believe any of them? You can't. You can't even. What I'm telling you right now, what I just proved in this episode, show you that you're a fool for believing anything that the Democrats are telling you. You have to vet it. You have to use an individual perspective, meaning that you do not allow narratives or perceptions or people's talking points to come into your head unless it's vetted. You have to vet it. You have to do your homework to allow for you to advocate what somebody's telling you on the news, what a politician is telling you, what your heroes are telling you. You can't even believe them because they'll have you talking to somebody that actually understand what's going on and that can prove to you what you're saying is stupid. The way you don't do that and put yourself in that situation is you vet. You have an individual perspective, and the rules of an individual perspective is you vet everybody.
By the way, which is weird. But this is the dumbest thing I ever heard a human being say when it comes to politics. Because I offered him, I said,
Oh, it's 49 seconds, y'all. We about to end this on a high note.
tell you what, bro. I will pay for your car wash, and I'll give you money for a future car wash if you can.
This is how arrogant he is. Oh, tell me this, and I'll pay for your car wash, and I'll pay for your future car wash, cause me being able to pay for your car wash is such an ultimate flex. I'll pay for your car wash and your future car wash. That's good, ain't it? That's a good deal, ain't it? Dude, the guy's getting a car wash. He don't need you to buy him a car wash or his future car wash. And if you're at Jack's Car Wash, maybe that's $30. And that's maybe valuable, but if you're at Jack's Car Wash, you don't really need somebody else's $30. So that's not no flex. That's ignorant wealth. That's black wealth. Not real wealth. Black wealth. $1,000 is like $100,000. Yo, $100 is like $1,000 to black people. That's how we think. It's ignorant wealth. That's why he flexing like that. I'll buy your car wash and your future car wash. It's so stupid. Oh.
Give you money for a future car wash if you can give me the name of one piece of legislation. Just give me one.
Well, I kind of talked about a lot of the executive orders and regulations, and I don't want to talk about the what they call that opportunity zone bill that he got passed by Congress. You know what I mean? Or the pretty much freeing a lot of black people and minorities for possession violations, and they put people in jail for having an ounce of weed or a pound of weed on them and stuff. They put them in jail for 10 years. That he actually passed a bill for, I forgot what they call that. It's like a it's a prison reform. That's what they call it. He passed that prison reform. The racist Ku Klux Klan, Trump passed prison reform that benefit all the people that got put in jail from 1994 for the crime bill of 1994 from Clinton, all the way up to Trump's actual presidency. Hundreds of thousands of people, he got them. They sentenced his community and all that stuff because it was just wrong for stuff that we're legalizing. Prison reform. So that's it. I'm not even going to talk about that. I'm not even going to talk about the opportunity zones that he actually got Capitol building. And it's bad because they did a bad job of actually campaigning the opportunity zone and how entrepreneurs and people in the inner city can actually, and minority people can get actual loans from the government, because it's billions of dollars of funds that they got for us to be capitalists that he put into every company. It's part of HUD. You could go to HUD and it's part of that system, but they use that for the immigrants and all the other stuff. That's why we don't know about it. You get what I'm saying? I'm not even going to talk about the opportunity zones, okay? I'll just say, what do I like that Trump did? The tax bill. Let's say the tax bill. Because I think this is the most construed situation. You got people and I'm going to end this. I know this is 2 hours. You got people in the campaign saying Trump is giving tax break for billionaires. Yeah. He lowered their tax bracket from 36,000 to 36% down to 21%. But you know what he did for people that's making $17,000 to $25,000? You don't even pay taxes. People making $25,000 to $40,000, he lowered your tax to 10%. Go look at it. Go look at 20. Go look at even President Obama's administration. Go look at 2012, 2013, 2014, 2015, and 2016. Look at what your bill, or how much percentage of federal percentage you was at. And look at 2017, 2018, 2019, 20. And you're going to see that it dropped from, I think it was 30%, like 28% or 30% for the low income people, down to like, for people that making 26 to 40,000, it dropped down to 10%. And people under 25,000, nothing. People making 70 grand and up. I mean, still 70 grand to 100. You were at like 20% or something like that. Okay. And then, no. I think you were like 15%. I'm sorry, 15%. And then the wealthy people, 400,000 and up, they lowered it from 30 to 21%. That's the new tax bracket that you're under right now until next year. The reason why you're paying so low in tax that you're not paying 40% to tax to federal and another 6% or 10% from your state, the reason why you're not doing that, because of Trump's tax cut bill, idiot. He cut everybody's stuff. That's why you have more money to play with in 2018, 2019, and 2020. That's why. So just that alone, you're an idiot. Burnett. I think it's Ty Burnett. He's an idiot. Mom, stop it. Don't listen to these idiots. Stop watching MSNBC. I know. I'm trying to wing myself off of Fox. Stop. These people are corrupt. Fox too. They all are. They terrible. Terrible. And they tricking us and they fooling us and they destroying our own, like if you're a person that got 20, 30 more years on this planet, they try to tell you to give up your life now for the younger people to have up mobility and prosperity, but give it up now for us to have political control, for us to have ideological control, for us to have a different valuation of what our rights in the Constitution. We need to remake the Constitution. I ain't seen one group of people on this planet that could do better than what the Constitution was carved out to be. The original context of it. And I don't like the 28th Amendments attached to the Constitution. I really don't like to, but I bite my tongue on it. But you ain't got nobody that could do better writing up that kind of document. Because all they're going to do is do a derivative of it, a substitution of it, some kind of like a fake one. Leave that alone. Leave that Constitution alone, and we need to stop all the other stuff we signed on to it, really. We're almost done here. I just want to put this guy in his place.
That he passed to make life better. Give me the name of one legislator. I'll pay for your car wash.
I gave you a bunch of them, but the tax bill, and I communicated why it is. Listen to this episode. I got to end this because I'm on 2 hours. I apologize. Please listen to this podcast, y'all. You need to listen to it.
This dude looked at me with the straightest face. and said, you don't need legislation. I said, what? He said, you don't need legislation. I said, you don't need legislation.
The Trump supporter that he was going to pay for his car wash and his future car wash, he told him instinctively, out of his gut, you don't need support. Don't tell me about no legislation that I should tell you what legislation that Trump passed to tell me to act like. Slow down, dears. Don't tell me about a legislation. I shouldn't have to tell you about a legislation that Trump passed in order to give validity to his presidency, but you're asking me, tell me a legislation that he passed, because I can say the word legislation. I'm a black man. I could pay for your car and your future car wash. Tell me a legislation. See, I said it good, didn't I? Legislation that he passed. Well, you idiot. By gut, this guy that's at the gas or at the car wash, and you're going to buy him a car wash and his future car wash, by his gut, he said, we don't need the legislation. We don't need legislation. Oh, you don't need legislation? You don't need legislation? You don't need
legislation to run the country?
Ain't nobody said that you don't need legislation to run the country. You need some legislations to kind of make sure we regulate ourselves and not do our natural primal instinct to things. So you have to have some kind of legislation to have some guardrails. But we got enough. If we go 10 years, 20 years without another legislation being signed, it's for our best condition. It's for humanity's condition. What is destroying us as individual human beings, as people, as a cohesive, civilized environment, is that we are passing legislation after legislation after legislation after legislation, and we got 10 to 20 legislations that mean the same exact thing of legislations that's already in place, already in law. We got hundreds of legislations that mean the same exact thing. I'm dead serious about this. Statutes too. We got hundreds of legislation. It's just a redux of what's already in law, what's already legislated. Do your research on this. You'll know that I'm telling you guys the truth. It's too much legislation. It's just entirely too much legislation. This is ridiculous. And he thought he had one. Oh, you don't need legislation? This is the dumbest thing I ever heard. You don't need legislation? Nobody said you don't need legislation ever, but I'm telling you, if we do no legislation from the last 10 years to the future 10 years, we got enough to regulate every single thing that happens humanely, that's not natural, human, that we do to regulate us. We have enough on the books already that regulates it. We're destroying ourselves. We're destroying our future. We're destroying the power of an individual American citizen. We're destroying that to give more validity to the overlords, our government, our elites, the people that think, it should be like this to stop this. No. Individual freedom is individual freedom. I understand President Obama showed you guys that you really don't like your freedoms. You really don't like it. Safety over freedom. That's what you guys are choosing. Decorum over freedom. That's what you guys are choosing. That's why you don't understand how effective and how brutalizing to you, your individual freedoms and your individual power as an individual king and queen of your world, that your original constitutional rights are given to you, but your legislation and the statutes that you allow your city council members, your state senators, your state congressmen to put into federal law has taken all your individual power away from you, that you don't even got control of your own kingdom. Taxation was only meant to be in place for war. You say, how will we pay for our veterans and everything? Because we're great consumers. We're the most powerful economical structure in the world. So we deal with each other and we make money and we build money and wealth for the world, and just in our own country, that other countries want to sell their products and their agriculture and all of their being into our country and supply us with commodities and trade and all that stuff that for our money. So that's how powerful we are. So just by tariff alone, we charge you in order to do business inside our country. We used to be like that. But racist white people like FDR felt bad for farmers and people that had to give up slaves and stuff like that. So he put the farm bill and taxation into law. Why? Because all the big manufacturing, a new industry, the future of the world was being built in Michigan and New York and all the northern states and everything. So FDR taxed the country, taxation, and to put the farm bill out, to tax for that in order to help our farmers, our agriculture of the South be able to find a way in this new world of no slaves. So stop listening to dumb people like this.
And normally I don't react like this, but I said, that's the goofiest shit I ever heard in my life. I turned and walked out.
Now you know he's the goofiest shit you ever heard, huh? Because he's an idiot. Play this recording, and I don't got that much followers and watchers and stuff on this platform. I came from Rumble and I've come over this platform, but we're gonna level up. I'll sooner or later. After I'm editing 5 movies to try to put this stuff on the streaming platforms. So I'm doing big corporate, big studio work on these films, but I'll level up my podcast. But I just want to be able to come on and give you guys factual data to ignorant people like this. And now you know he's the stupidest person you ever heard, right?
November, you guys. I ever heard in my life. I turned and walked out. November, you guys. I said, you don't need legislation to run the country? And normally I don't react like this, but I said, that's the goofiest shit I ever heard in my life. I turned and walked out.
Now you know that he's the goofiest shit you ever heard, right? I told you about legislation and how much legislation we have, but that's a lot for you guys to understand, and it's kind of going over your head a little bit. Go look at our statutes. Go look at our legislation. If you actually have the time, if you can figure this out, if you can find somebody to figure it out for you, I'm doing it in this podcast. That's why I'm communicating this to you. But we have multiple legislations that means the same exact thing. Our Congress people as a whole, our senators as a whole, our presidents as a whole, our federal agencies as a whole, and sorry to say, majority of our city council members as a whole and mayors as a whole are corrupt and evil and vindictive. And they messy people because they use what we can't. We just got to try to survive in our life. And they use that against us. And they have narratives out there like they're wise and they're doing great things. That's why you got a Tulsi Gabbard going into the White House. That's why you got a Robert Kennedy going to the White House. That's why you got a Vivek Ramaswamy to go into the White House. That's why you got an Elon Musk going to do a efficiency department to go through every single agency that we have and gut with the fat that's there. That's why you have that on the Trump side, and they busting their ass spending like $10 billion to stop it. That's how foolish you guys are. And your vote this year through this election, I know you want the first woman president. I want prosperity for my family and myself, so I don't give a shit about the first woman president. Be real about it. I need us to level up. These 4 years, I'm telling you, and people that's like me, that's building companies and doing really big stuff, we were moving, and then everybody went into this self-preservation mode, and boy, it started trying to shake each other. It's crazy. It's like a prison yard. how we interacting with each other. That's why I'm voting for Trump. I know, 2 hours and 10 minutes. I apologize. Worthy episode to listen to, though. I gave you the meat and potatoes. Let me let this idiot say his last bit, and then I'll say my last bit, and then we're out.
November, you guys. We can end this. God, we don't need legislation?
No, idiot. We got enough. And that you don't know that, you're a fool. Okay? He's an idiot. I don't even want to look at his face no more. He's such a dummy. Okay? I proved that. Come on. Give me some props. Okay? My name is Daris D. McKinney. This Individual Perspective Podcast. Daris D. McKinney. Individual Perspective Podcast. Where your truth is the objective truth. It's just what it is. We don't walk around in this world. You become an individual seeker. We don't walk around trying to live what we want everybody to believe that we believe. No, if whatever I believe, it's just the way it is. And if you had your right mind, it's going to be what you believe. And let's talk about it. Let's walk through the Socratic method. You know the Socratic method? You couldn't even graduate from Harvard without understanding the method of communication that Socrates invented to work out problem solving and work out what's the truth and what's the actual argument that has weight to it. They call it the Socratic method. That's what I do. I can say I'm an expert in it. I haven't gone to Harvard, but I'm pretty good at it, okay? This is a hard one. Trump 2024? Yes, I know he might lose because there's so much cheating and corruption going on. And I got episodes that I talk about this, and maybe I'll do another one. But this is this episode is dedicated to my mom. Mom, stop listening to everybody outside your house. Don't listen to nobody outside your house. Okay? Sad part about it is your house watch MSNBC, so I know can't listen to people inside your house either. But at the same time, I love y'all. Okay? I love you guys. And I'm just telling you, I don't talk about this stuff. I don't even post my podcast, and please don't post this. Don't post this on my page or your page or anything like this. I'm gonna put this in your comments. Keep it there. Leave it there. I don't want the smoke from my family and friends. I had enough, okay? Because effective of me communicating this, if people respond to me and my narratives on this, you already see how really substantial I am in what I'm talking about. I cannot allow myself to be full of shit to you if you come at me. If you bring smoke to me, if you interrogate, if you want to get into the conversation of Trumpism or the Trump ideological, what they call TDR, Trump deranged syndrome, if you want to go into that world with me, I can't. I want you guys to know I love you even after I talk to you, but I cannot be favorable in the conversation because you're putting me on the spot. And now you're a person that's seeking information or making me validate my information and my intelligence. And I cannot pull a punch on that. I gotta do it. So please don't post this. Otherwise, it's gonna be smoke. I don't want your smoke. And you sure as hell don't want my smoke. I know. I'm ready to talk about the vast journey of my life. I don't hide nothing. I don't hide no decisions. I'm ready to go. But please, don't post this. Check you guys out. Hopefully I don't get triggered to make another video like this. You get what I'm saying? Love you to death. I'm not trying to fight my family members, friends, but you guys made a bad choice if you voted for Kamala. Okay? You made a bad choice and you went against everyone's well-being by doing it. You know? And it's brutal. It's brutal. So I know that sounds crazy, but that's the truth of the matter. And we got to somewhat coexist with each other and love each other, even when we voting against our own best interest that started on Wednesday. we could possibly be in a major decline, and you need ultimate resource to fight through the policies of what they're talking about. All I need is people to feel free that they're not going to get hurt by capitalizing. People don't be self-preserving if they know that they can make money and more money and more money and more money, and they don't get penalized for it. Well, Kamala, you're going to get penalized the more you grow. The more they got to dig into your pocket, the more they got to destroy you with regulations and what they feel that's human or morally justifiable. Nope. We don't live in that kind of country. We fight for each other's prosperity, for our own opportunities. Okay, I know, I'm talking too much. Check you guys out.